So if you're missing sales targets, there's a reason why. And a lot of the time it can due to your sales process not working as it should be. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 common reasons why your sales process is broke and what you can do to fix them to make sure you get back on track and start hitting the numbers that you want to. Let's have a look at the video. So sales processes are critical parts of the sales journey. It's the moment from when a buyer starts from engaging with us through to when they become a customer. And that part of the process, that part of the journey is key for us to make sure we do consistently if we're to get results time and time again. But very often the sales process is broken and most organizations don't really know what to do or how to fix it. So most people don't even realize the warning signs. And there are 5 things you can spot. And if you're careful about it, you can put methods in place to avoid them happening in order to make sure the sales process starts working again. Point number 1 is this. You cannot forecast accurately. I've worked with a number of organizations and the reality is their sales process is broken, I know, because their forecasts are just made of crap. Ultimately, they will say 2 months in advance, we're going to go and do this amount of number. And actually what happens then 1 month before or even 1 week before, deals go flat. They don't have the ability to forecast accurately because the process and the way in which the deals move through the funnel don't work effectively. One of the key things is you've got to have, especially as you grow a sales team, is the ability to know what's going to happen over a period of time. The ability to forecast our business is critical. It gives finance the ability to know what income's coming in when. It enables our service teams to know what we can then do to make sure delivery of operations is done at the right time. So the ability to forecast is critical. So we know the forecast is broken if we're in a position where we can't do things, for example, on an accuracy basis. So one of the simple ways to measure this is to get maybe someone in your sales admin team to look at what forecasts have been submitted by your team, maybe at the start of the month, and then go back at the end of the month or at the start of the next month and see what they forecast and what was different to that. A lot of the time there should be a consistent process by which the sales team can follow in order to ensure that their deals are going to come through. So have a look at how accurate their forecasts are. The other key thing to look at when it comes to forecasts, and we're going to talk about this a bit more, is close dates. Too often, people on sales forecasts put a date in that they have no real information or detail to support that date. It's a date that's been plucked out of the air. They think something's going to happen by a certain point in time. And unfortunately, customers and prospects have a different way of doing things than we do and want as salespeople. So have a little look at the close dates. How often do those dates change? How often do you start to see those things? And maybe start to monitor this in your CRM to be able to start to see whether things alternate on a regular basis. If they do, then it might tell you that the salesperson hasn't really got a true understanding of what's making the buyer want to make that purchase happen. So the key thing is, if you cannot forecast effectively, the reality is you're going to have a real struggle and it's a real indication that your sales process is broken. And the key thing is what we've got to do is make sure we've put some elements in place to give us that assurance, to feel comfortable with that. Just putting numbers in a spreadsheet and making it a fantasy land or in a CRM isn't what you really want. You want consistency time and time again. And if you haven't got that, it's a real clear sign your sales process is broken and it's something you need to fix. So the second point when it comes to your sales process being broken is this. You have no method of qualifying your leads and leads just basically fall through the cracks. Firstly, why do they fall through the cracks? It's mainly because you haven't got good systems and structures in place in order to manage deals that come in. Maybe your CRM system that you've put in place isn't working effectively for you. What should a CRM do? It should record every lead that you've got that comes into the business. It should enable you then to put the next action against each individual lead. And I would always say to people, if you've got leads in the system that don't have a definitive date and next action for something to take place, then it's not a lead in the first place. Things fall through the gaps because people just think that someone else is doing something, whereas tasks haven't been assigned to them. So if you've got leads that are falling through the gaps, or if you've got salespeople that basically when asked about a particular deal, go, oh yeah, I forgot about that one, you know you've got some issues here. But the other key element around this part here is also qualification. One of the key parts of the sales process is to engage with someone initially and to then start to do what we call a triage process to say, does this prospect identify against the top 6 to 8 characteristics that we've got that make us an ideal customer? And are we able to qualify them based upon maybe their budget or their authority or the decision process or the timing? There's some characteristics and things in here that we can put in place that enables us to see whether the lead that's coming in is a good lead for us, in which case we can then take some steps to move forward with that over time. But the reality is, if deals are being lost and you've got no qualification criteria in place, your sales process is broken, and if you don't fix it, it could mean trouble for you. So the third point, and probably one of the most obvious things that I see in lots of sales teams, is sales teams just do their own thing. Your sales team are following what they want to do rather than following a clear process that has been set out in the business. They're basically doing whatever they think is right because they don't know any different. They've not been told, they've not been given any guidelines, they've not been given any structure that make them think, yes, they've got to do things in a certain way. So the reality is, if you've got everyone doing their own thing, what's that going to mean? It's probably going to mean for chaos. If you imagine a sports team with maybe a football team with every single player on the pitch doing whatever they wanted to, the team wouldn't do very well. Teams need structure, they need a process, a structure to follow and a plan to follow, with everyone then ensuring they do their jobs. And if everyone does their job in a consistent way, things get done, and they also get measured in order to make sure that you can then start to hit the numbers that you want to. So if you're in a position where you're finding people are not necessarily doing their own thing, try and find out why. What's causing them to do their own thing? Is it because they don't enjoy the process? Is it because they find that the way in which you manage them is a bit too difficult or a bit too, for example, micromanagement? Or is it because, for example, they don't see any reason to be able to submit information? A great way in which you can solve that, for example, in a sales process, to make sure that people link their commission to the sales process itself. In most organisations I will work with, I will say you don't get paid on the deal unless you've actually got a structure in place that shows what you're doing and how you're following the guidelines and the process that we've created. That's a key way in which to make people then realise they have to follow what you want them to be able to do. Well, the other key thing to be able to think about, is it due to systems? Have the systems not been explained to them properly? Have they not been trained on how to use, for example, a CRM tool or another thing that you're asking them for? Or maybe they've not been in a position where they've created systems for managing their own time, which means that they then blame admin, when in reality it's just not been effective with the use of time itself. So the key thing is, your sales process is broken when people do their own thing. You have to find out why that's the case, put some plans in place to change it, and then make sure you give the right training in order to ensure that people hopefully get on track to do things the way you want them to do them. So point number 4 is this: you get ghosted by prospects too often. And your sales process is broken when you get ghosted all the time. Ghosting happens when we haven't qualified effectively, when we've actually been in a position where we're not doing things in a structured way, when we've got no indications and no details of what's going to happen when by asking the right questions. And the reality is then prospects then just ghost us, because it's easier for them to ghost us than it for them is to have a conversation with us. Ghosting hurts us as a business because it doesn't give us any assurance on what's going to happen when, and we need that in order to make sure the sales process works thoroughly and effectively. So start to look into the reasons as to why ghosting happens. Why does it happen all the time? Emotional intelligence is a key part of this. Do your salespeople have the emotional intelligence to really understand what the other person is saying to them? What are the signals and the signs that that person is giving them that makes them a bit nervous or makes them a bit concerned about what's happening in that deal? Too many salespeople have happy ears. They listen to what they're thinking they're listening to, but don't actually listen to what's actually being said or what the prospect really means. The other key thing that happens with ghosting is no next step. If you are in a position where you say to someone, hey, I'll come back to you next week, don't be surprised when you then don't hear from them next week. Whereas if you put a definitive date and time in the diary for you to then say, let's have a conversation next Thursday at 4 p.m, we'll be in a position to then see if there's a good fit or not for us to work together. It gives the prospect at least the ability to say, yes, there's a next step happening. And even if they do then ghost you and keep on being in a position where they don't want to talk to you, then you've maybe got to find out what was the reason for that. Did you talk too much? Did you not dig enough into the pain? Did you not have a relationship? Did you try and maybe do something and push too early without building rapport? A lot of the time, and I was talking to someone a few weeks ago about this, they happen to get a lot of people that are ghosting them, and it's because their discovery calls initially are just a pitch fest. They're just talking about their company and what they do rather than understanding the problems of the audience. So if you're getting ghosted a lot, it's a sign that your sales process is broken. Something's not right. People have not got the right information, they're not hearing the right information, they're not asking the right questions, and we've got to be able to then be in a position where we fix this if we get this back on track. And the final point relates to the sales cycle. The sales cycle is, the reality is, if the process is broken, the sales cycle just takes forever and you've got no definitive start and end dates in which to work with. A lot of the time people talk about sales cycle, and I believe you should know your sales cycle and what the average deal sales cycle is. For example, I know in my business, on average, it's 4 months. So 4 months from the moment someone will engage with me to the moment they will actually do some work with me, generally will take on the average of 3 to 4 months. So I know that if I'm engaging with them maybe in the first meeting within week 1, I've probably got 2 or 3 months to go until they feel comfortable to want to work with me and do some business together. So my question to you is, what is your sales cycle? Take a look at the last deal that you put together, and when did that person come and engage with you through to when they actually started to then sign a contract with you? How long did that process take? Start to understand what that journey looks like and feel comfortable knowing that if it is 4 months or if it could be 4 years or it could be 4 weeks, it doesn't matter. How does that then fit into the overall sales process that you've got? The key thing is this: the cycle will be different, and the reality is for some people it will be different. There are some people, for example, the reds and people that with the yellows who make quick decisions, who'll make decisions really simple and move forward quite quickly. Whereas those that are maybe blue and green are a bit more uncertain about things, are going to take a little bit longer to do that. So be careful at understanding your sales cycle. What's really causing people to actually move from being a prospect to a customer? What does that journey take and how long does it take? And make sure that you've then got some materials and some messages and some content that you can use to continue to value stack. There's a video I've done on lead nurture and how you continue to nudge and nurture them to make sure they see your value to then feel comfortable working with you. But the reality is, understand that cycle. It's a key indication of when your process is broken. So here are these 5 things: your forecast, your qualification, people doing their own thing, being ghosted in sales cycle, are all these 5 things that stop people being in a position to get their sales process working. And as I've said before, if you want to scale a business, if you want to grow a business, you've got to get an engine that works. And we've got to be able to measure the key points to know what's happening, to be able to then be in a position where we can change things or adjust things or put new strategies in place in order to get the process working. If you do that, you'll get some consistency over a period of time and you'll be able to measure and start to see outcomes from the work that you're doing. But if this process is broken and you don't look at these elements to fix it, you're on a pathway to spending lots of money and not getting any results. And I don't want that to happen for you. Hope you've enjoyed the video. My name is James White. I'm a person that loves helping companies grow their sales, drive an activity for them, helping them hit numbers and grow a business so they can operate without them. And I'd love to be in a position to help you. If I can help you, then drop me a note through, reach out in this comment section. Happy to help and help you fix maybe sales processes that are broken or other sales challenges that stop you from getting where you want to get to. Thanks for watching the video. If you've enjoyed it, like and subscribe to the channel and share it with others. Maybe give your comments on it. What are the parts of the sales process that are broken from your perspective that you can put strategies in place to solve? But the key thing is, if we don't fix the sales process, we're in trouble. Get it sorted.